air, fuel, or spark. It's this beautiful thing that's happening, right? And all of these things are working together to make these engines all go to save Nico's back, right? But if they don't work, so the first thing that Jesse's gonna do is he's gonna check the air filter, right? And then if the air filter seems good, then you're gonna move on to the next thing, right? You know, I get machines from people to have me look at them, and the air filters are always, you know, super dirty, right? And if there's no air getting to the engine and combining with the fuel, then this, you know, it's inhibiting the engine's ability to work. You know, they're always cleanable, or almost always cleanable. You know, how do I clean this stuff? Dawn soap. Sponsored by Dawn. This stuff is amazing to like clean your hands and to like get grease off of stuff. The other thing that I use to degrease, I buy this little stuff in the dollar store. It's just like amazing cleaner stuff that I use to degrease. But I'll use this, you know, in your air filters, you know, to wash them, put them under water and to clean out any of the particulate matter. Make sure that there's fuel.
Good fuel.
Good fuel.
The right type of fuel.
The right type. Because what happens if you put just regular gas into this engine and don't have the mix proper? But yeah, it burns up the piston because there's no oil.
It overheats.
It overheats, exactly. So that oil and the fuel is helping to cool it. Change it, but I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, how do I even know that this spark plug is good, right? How do I even know that? Okay, well, there's an easy way for us to check that out. So I'm going to put the spark plug back into the little plug. Okay. I'm going to put it back in. And then I'm going to put it up against the engine block. All right? So it's up against the engine block. And then I'm going to pull. That's right.
Yeah.
Once you pull the cord for me, okay? Can you see that spark?
Yeah.
There's a spark there, okay? Everyone see that? Does anyone want to get a close-up? Okay. All right, so there's a spark, so we could see a spark. So we know that the spark plug is working. That's good, right? Now, if you got a brand new spark plug and you put it in and it didn't work, like there was no spark, and you're like, well, what's up with that? It was a brand new plug. Well then, you know, this cord comes down to the engine, you know, that little flywheel when you pull it, and there's this dynamo jobber that this wire is connected to, and when you pull the cord, that dynamo creates electricity or something, and it goes through this spark plug, and that's how you get your spark. Okay? So if you get a new spark plug, Jesse, and it doesn't work, then maybe this cord is not connected to the little dynamo, or maybe the dynamo is bad. Okay? But we know that we have spark. So, okay, the cord goes this far. Okay, this is as far as the cord goes. Well, when you pull it, you don't want to pull the cord this far, because what's in there? There's like this little wheel thing, and when you pull the cord, it engages some little teeth, and they come out, and then that's what turns the flywheel, right? So if you pull on this, then you're going to break the little internal mechanism. There's a lot of little teeth in there. This stuff breaks all the time on engines, okay? So what I do whenever I'm starting an engine is I pull it a little bit, just a little bit, and then when I pull it, I'm pulling it like 80% to the end, not 100. You know, if you're pulling 100 and you're really cranking on it, then that's actually something's wrong. and that it's not set up properly. This stuff is all made to start on the first, second, or third pull. If it doesn't start then maybe you've got some issues going on. You know, sometimes if you haven't started something in a long time, then it maybe take a little second to get it all primed up and stuff. But it should almost always start immediately. And then the last thing, so we've got air, spark, and fuel. This one is when it gets a little more complicated. Because we've got the carburetor, okay? And so this is where, you know, if you've ever taken one of these apart, you know, there's a bunch of teeny little pieces in there that you have to navigate, right? Have you ever taken one apart, Sarai, to see what's in there? But if we've determined that on a small machine like this, if the air filter's good, the spark is good, then there's a fuel delivery issue. It could be getting too much fuel. It could not be getting enough. You could have cracked fuel lines. The seals in the carburetor could be toast, right? And you need to do what they call a carburetor rebuild. And you can get all these little kits, and it gives you all the seals, and you take it apart. And for those of you that like to do this kind of stuff, you know, you can take all this stuff apart. This goes back to our shop manuals, but take it apart, get the new seals, and put it back together. Now what we do when we make our mix on the fuel, we got one of these little measuring cups at the auto parts store, and it tells you, you know, it's got these little lines, right? And it gives you the ratio of your mix, right? How much oil. Now you can buy the little pre-made, it's this much for 1 gallon, okay? But I need to save, because I make so much money around here, guys. I need to save a few pennies. So I make my own mix. Pretty sweet, huh? But, you know, 50 to 1 is what all these machines are set up for. So if I wanted, you know, if I was making 1 gallon of mix or 1.5 gallons or 2 gallons, it tells me exactly how much oil I need, boom, to get my mix proper. And if you have to fight to get, if the spark plug actually, like, you know, melts to the engine block or to this little, you know, casing in here, then you're like taking this engine block and re-threading the inside or buying a new one, or, you know, then it's this whole other thing, right? So as you guys are seeing, a lot of this stuff is just preventative. You know, that's all I'm really good at, actually, is just taking care of stuff. The last thing I'll say before we pull the cord here and try and start this sucker is what happens. You'll go to pull the cord and you're pulling a bunch of times and it's not starting, and then what happens?
Oh, I forgot to choke.
You didn't choke it, or it's flooded, right? Well, that just means that there's way too much fuel now all over everything. It's just saturated fuel. So then it's not starting until it dries out, right? And so there's a way to alleviate that, or to try and amend that situation, is you take the spark plug out. So take it right back out, actually, here. And look how easy that came out. Pretty easy, Stephen. Take it out. It's full of fuel. And then you've got your top 10 tools. Top 10 tool, air compressor. Love this thing. Tires are always going flat. You can use it to clean. If it's totally flooded, then I can put this in here and try and dry it out. Try and dry it out. You can blow fuel all around it, pull your filter out, try and dry out the inside, and then maybe give yourself a shot. You know, if you're pulling, you've determined the fuel filter is, or the air filter is good, and you've determined your spark is good. If you spray a little teeny bit of starting fluid, like, and then you go to start it, and it fires right up, and then it shuts off. That's a good way to know that you've got a fuel delivery issue. Because it started with a little starting fluid, which is like ether or something. It's like acting like fuel. It kind of helps the combustion get rolling. And what it's supposed to do is supposed to kind of give yourself a little head start, and then the fuel's supposed to start flowing how it's normally supposed to flow, and then the machine will run, right? But if you spray it and it starts and then it shuts off, you got a fuel delivery. If you have to keep doing it, then you definitely know. What the heck are they talking about when they say choke? Well, there's this little like slider thing behind the air filter, and that slides up, okay? This is Jesse's well versed in this thing. So when you choke it, it slides up, that cuts off the air for when you're starting it. And then as you get it going, you open it, and that's gonna let more air into the system, you know, as it's running. Okay, so there's the little hum. Okay. That sounded really good. That sounded really good. That's what it's supposed to sound like. Before you start anything, it's always important to know what?
How to shut it off.
How to shut it off. And usually, there's a couple ways to shut something off. But sometimes there's not. Sometimes there's only one way, or you need to be really creative with the ways that you're shutting things off. So for example, this stop is off. It's not working. The line got cut. So I need to fix that wire, and I haven't done it. So in order for me to stop this machine, I have to bring the choke up and actually choke the air coming into the carburetor to get it to stop. Okay?